Roxon has had a very, very good year. They have basically overhauled nearly every single tool that they have in their lineup with huge improvements to materials and functionality overall. And for once, I gotta say, we have true competition for both Leatherman and Victorinox in a couple of these implements. So we're gonna be talking about what they have changed and why it makes such a big difference. So I'm going to start by talking about a few new products from Roxon this year. The first one is this. This is actually a pocket knife with the modular system. It has G10 on the exterior, and in addition to the blade, it also has a scissor in the back, and it's a huge, huge scissor. Now this is in German 4116 stainless, which is a pretty big improvement on steel in comparison to the 3CR you used to see from Roxon. So they've really upped their game. They've really decided to improve on the materials, and it shows in this model. So all the blades that are modular in this system are 8CR, which is an okay bottom of the heap budget steel, but still substantially better than the 3 and the 5CR, which you used to see from Roxon and many, many other brands. So it's nice to see them at least taking it to that baseline of the 8CR. Now what's cool about this system is you just pop these off and it actually lets you take the blade out, and you can then exchange that for any of the blades that they have available. So there's like the sheep's foot blade, the clip point, the comb if you want to do that, I guess is kind of fun. There's a diamond file, crosscut file here. This is an electrician's blade, which I thought was really nice for those who are in the trades. A saw, some weird combo tool thingy, I don't even know what to call this thing, pull cutter, etc. Serrated like hook bill shape, and then of course one of my favorites, which is actually the utility knife blade. So having all those options I think is huge, and it's a really cool system. People have really liked it. I happen to be one of those people that do as well. It just gives you so much variety to kind of modify. Now, in addition to the one with the scissor, there's a slightly thinner variation that is just the blade itself. And both of them have the same problem in that it's difficult to open one-handed. You kind of have to dig your finger in there. There's not a lot of access, so I'm hoping they can fix that in the future, but it is very easy to open two-handed. You can definitely do it one-handed. It just takes a little bit of practice. The tip-down carry is not my favorite, but with something like this where there's so much going on, I don't have too much of a problem with it. It's it's fine. It's not ideal, but it's okay. So that is a cool design, and the price on these are really very reasonable, like even for a standard knife. And the fact that you can actually change out the blades to any shape you want, well, that's really awesome. So these run about $20 for a pack of 3, and then you can add them to the modular system. This also works with the Phantom Multitool, which is the plier-based version. Now they haven't really updated that one yet, but hopefully they will in the future. Now, talking about other upgrades. They have since gone from what was their base model flash to what they're calling the Elite version of the tool. And the Elite version is so much better, I don't think anyone should be buying the base model anymore. So what you're gonna get with this Elite version is a sheath. You're gonna get replaceable cutters as well as the tool. Now, if I remember correctly, you only get the tool, you don't get replaceable cutters in the base model. That's already a big change. The other thing that's a big difference is the improvements to materials. So we've gone from a 5CR blade to a D2 blade in this one, and all the other implements have been improved as well. Either they are 5CR, which is not terrible, or 4116 German stainless. That's a great improvement over the past design, which had 3CR implements besides the blade. So all in all, very big improvements for not a huge cost. I think it comes out to be a $13 increase, but it's definitely worth it. I would not bother with this model at all. In addition to that, they've made some huge improvements to the small implements. So if you look, you could see the difference. There are 3 implements over here, and I gotta say they're not that great. So we have a 2-dimensional Phillips, a reamer awl, can opener, bottle opener combo on this side, where on here, check this out, we have a true three-dimensional Phillips with a file. We have a flathead with a couple wire stripping notches, so I really like that design, a reamer awl, and the can opener bottle opener. So they not only got another tool in there, they made a better Phillips that's fully three-dimensional. In fact, I think they've actually increased how much space. Did they increase how much space they had available? Not really, no. So it's about the same. They're just utilizing that space way more efficiently. Overall, I mean, there really is no reason to buy the standard version anymore over the Elite version. This has got to be one of the better tools under 50 bucks at this point. I will say one negative is I have a hard time getting out the whistle ferrocerium rod, which is tucked in right here. If I pull this out in the future, I'll probably use the file to actually cut down on those little tabs that stick into the frame so that this deploys a little bit easier. I have to be careful because I don't want it to fall out, but the fact that I have trouble getting it out is a real problem. I definitely can't, it's not easy, let's just say that. The other thing I would love to see is if they would move this pocket clip to the opposite side, make it a little shorter, and that's because when you're using the blade, the pocket clip can be really felt when you're squeezing down, and you don't get to take advantage of these nice round corners on the handle. If they move it to the opposite side, it's lower in the palm, which means it would be more ergonomic. So if you're using the blade to do a lot of carving, which this is kind of an outdoors tool anyway, it will be way better. So hopefully they will do that in the future. Just a small improvement, but as is, it's already a huge jump up from the past generation. Okay, let's move on to probably the biggest upgrade, and for the least amount of cost difference, and that is going to be with the ROXON K2S, I want to call it. Let me see exactly what this is called. Yeah, KS2. They went from what was a pretty mediocre set of steel, steel options to a really big improvement on basically everything here. So for starters, they had like a 5CR blade and a 3CR setup for the rest of it. So the saw, the scissors, and all the components were in 3CR. Those wear out pretty quickly. The Elite version has the exact same implements, but it's 4116 stainless, German 4116 stainless, or 5CR for everything else. And D2 for the blade. So a big improvement on the blade steel in this particular case. And unlike the original version which I got, which had a lot of play in the blade, there's none here. And I did purchase everything on the table, so I just want to be clear about that. No problems. This is actually solid as a rock. I do wish it had a little bit more access to the thumb stud, but it's just a minor thing. This also comes with, and this is kind of important, it comes with the bit kit, whereas the original did not. You can buy this separately, but this is basically $10. So the price from $30 to $38, you're already having covered by adding the bit kit, and then when you factor in the improvements to steel, well, I mean, this is a no-brainer. They may as well discontinue this at this point. There's no reason to buy the base model KS2 when this exists. In fact, I highly recommend them put this on discount and get this out of stock as soon as possible, because there is simply no reason not to buy the upgraded version. Just none. The other thing I should mention, and I missed this in my first review of the KS2, is the tweezers. It actually does exist, and it is in the handle of the scissor. So they've covered a lot of things. It also has a glass breaker here. Now, comparisons. This kicks the living daylights out of Leatherman's T4. And that's where the biggest, slap in the face comes with Leatherman. This thing has been increased in price. I think it's like $70 or something now. This is basically almost half that cost and has better steel and easier to deploy implements and saw. And yeah, this is a really, really scary thing. Leatherman needs to be paying attention because this is really good. It comes with a bit kit included. The only thing that Leatherman has over it is going to end up being the prying tool. So I will say this is a very, very good pry tool from Leatherman. But if you have that covered somewhere else and you have a flathead slash pry tool somewhere else, I think that this is going to be really good. Or maybe you don't need that. I don't know. The same thing is going to be true with the Fieldmaster. It has, once again, that flathead, which this does not have. But overall, the tool sets are still pretty similar. Price point is also really similar. Like right now, this is running at around 36, so it's heavily discounted. Everywhere else besides Amazon, it's well in the 40 range. And the quality on the Victorinox is still trumping pretty much everyone. But they're non-locking implements. If you live in America, I mean, it makes so much more sense to have something like this, which not only has one-handable implements, it has an inline Phillips driver that locks, right? And man, that lockup is so super good. It's just a really compelling package. Like when we talked about the previous version, and that video was very, very popular, I said, is this the Victorinox killer? And I basically concluded it wasn't. But there's a chance this is a serious competitor to Victorinox in America, at least. Because of the upgrades in materials. I mean, D2 is going to last a hell of a lot longer in edge retention than any of the steels provided by Leatherman or Victorinox in their pocket knives. It would behoove both of these companies to offer at least some improvements to their blade steel for the same cost. Like the T4 should have the 154 cm blade, for instance, and they should keep the price the same. Now they won't, they'll probably make it like $100 and then it defeats the whole purpose. But at that price, I mean, you may as well get the KS2E. I think that's what this is called. And it is a huge improvement. Like all the material improvements here for this, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I think what it comes down to is this is completely outclassed. With the exception of that prying edge, I would never purchase this tool over the KS2E. I mean, yes, it has a great warranty. It's a Leatherman. I don't know if it's 100% made in the US, but it's mostly made in the US. All that stuff's true, but the tool set is actually better. And the price point being half as much, basically, it's really, really hard to justify this purchase when this exists in the world right now. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments. But for once, I think we have a true competitor in the marketplace that isn't Leatherman or Victorinox. That's just my thoughts. Anyway, thank you again so much for your time, and we'll talk again soon.